Hey all, welcome back. Today we'll be going over my Flurry Rogue build. I call this the Immortal Rogue. You can easily solo content 20 levels above you. You can do it with one hand if you really want to. Don't recommend, but you can. Once you get to around 30 levels, things are a bit dicier. I've been able to do it, but it's stressful. You will have to pay a lot of attention to explosions and burst damage at that point. So not highly recommended. This is best for just, soloing around 20 levels above you. Anyways, let's get into the build. So, pretty standard stuff here. Puncture, enhanced puncture for energy regen, fundamental puncture for vulnerable. Then Flurry, obviously. Improved Flurry makes everything around you vulnerable. What you're going to do with this, you're going to puncture one enemy near you. It's going to be vulnerable. You hit this, everything near you is going to be vulnerable, and you will heal a tiny bit. Sturdy, close introduction. Siphoning strikes, this is the most important skill in the build. Heals for 3% of your life whenever you critically strike an enemy that's close. So you should have around 20-30% crit, which means every Flurry is going to basically crit every enemy around you once on average. So for every enemy around you, every time you get Flurry, you're healing 151 times, times that many enemies. Bam. You can easily heal half to full in one or two Flurries. And your Flurries should be going off about once a second, twice a second. I don't know. You get some fast stuff for this build. Then Shadow Step. This is your get out jail free card. You get crowd controlled. Bam. You hit Shadow Step. You're not frozen anymore. You're not stunned anymore. Whatever. We go for Discipline Shadow Step. There's a case we made for this, but I prefer Discipline Shadow Step because I'm saving this for my get out jail free card. If I'm trapped, I want to have it available. I want to have the lowest cooldown possible. Reactive defense for some damage reduction. Then we're going for dash. Reason you want dash, you want to close that gap as soon as possible because you're very weak at range. So you're going to dash into a group of enemies, and this is going to immediately slow them, and it's going to let you get off your flurries as soon as possible. Poison Trap. This is pretty standard, just good knockdown. Good when it resets imbuements. Nothing too fancy here. Poison Imbue. The reason you get this is for damage. This does a lot of damage. You can see it's got the critical strike modifier, which I think is this one. The critical strike modifier, you've got good crits, so this is going to give you a lot of damage. Then debilitating toxins, 3 points. Again, you want to reduce that damage to yourself as much as possible. Alchemical advantage, only 1 point goes here because it caps at 15% no matter what, but this will give you an easy 5, 10, maybe even 15% when you're in that big group and you hit everything with Poison Imbue. Then, pretty standard stuff here, Innervation for energy regen, Trap Mastery, just gives you some increased crit chance when you hit with traps. Haste for for move speed and attack speed. And finally, Momentum. This is the key to your build because this will give you damage reduction. It's also going to give you a lot of healing. And so you need enemies to be dazed for this to work, which I will show you how we're doing that in a second. So let's look at Legendaries real quick to show what aspects you need. You want this Mangler's aspect. What this does is whenever you damage a vulnerable enemy, it has a lucky hit chance to daze them. This is how you're going to get your momentum stacks really fast. You're going to charge into a group. You're going to make everything vulnerable, and then each hit of Flurry has a 10% times 45%, so a 4% chance to daze them. You're against a single enemy, they're not going to be constantly dazed, but you will have about half of them dazed at any time, in my experience. And it's going to build up your momentum stacks real fast. You want the Disobedience aspect. This is the best aspect in Diablo 4 right now, just all around best aspect. You gain a ton of armor as long as you're staying in combat, which you want to be doing with this build. You're going to be getting tons of armor. Each hit of Flurry is going to give you armor. And I think Poison also gives you armor. So basically, you should have 60 to 100 stacks at any given time. It's going to make you very hard to kill. And importantly, you want your Stolen Vigor. You have to get a pretty good roll for this one on an Ancestral because this scales a lot with level. So the lower level versions of this aspect are garbage. You don't necessarily want to go with that. But at high levels, 283 life per second per stack. You have 3 stacks. You're healing 800 life per second. That's... I'm surprised to be saying it, but that is nothing to scoff at. Then, you want to make sure you have as much crit chance as possible. Oh, before I forget, you also want something that will give you energy regen a little faster. So I like this aspect, the energizing aspect. Whenever you hit an enemy with the basic skill, you get 6 energy. So you're puncturing, some elite, you're gonna have basically infinite energy. Yeah. Then let's go over stats. So stats, you want to prioritize defensive stats. Damage reduction from close are great. Damage reduction from poisoned. Now I have plus 9.6% damage here. You don't actually want that, but that's what I have. I don't have the best gear yet. Pants. Again, armor, very important. Life is important because it helps you, stay alive. I'd like to get a bit of damage reduction from distant enemies, or else you're going to be in danger if you are trying to push 30 levels above yourself. So, strongly consider that. Move speed. Move speed is the other thing you want to pay attention to. Move speed is great, so I've got maxed out move speed on my boots and on my amulet. And of course, crit chance. You got to get the crits to heal. Make sure you got near max crit chance on your gloves and your rings. On gloves, the most important thing is flurry, then crit chance. Then I guess attack speed after that. But yeah, once you have all of that, you should be able to get to an easy. Oh, I have 36.1% plus however many bonuses. So yeah, easy, lots of crit chance. But your focus should be on damage, except for gloves and rings. Your focus should be on damage reduction, and then on weapons and everything, you will get lots of damage from. Well, especially on weapons, you will get lots of damage. So you don't have to worry too much about that. We'll also get more damage from aspects or paragons. And now to show that, as the final part of this video, we're going to go over paragons. So you start here. You're going to want to go right. This is going to give you 20% damage. Can't complain. Go up to this glyph. I like to put efficacy in here for the enhanced imbuements, but it's up to you. Then you're going to want to start out going left, but eventually you're going to want to put some points in here to the right. Armor, 200 armor doesn't sound like much. And this is base 200 armor, by the way, without the glyph. So 200 armor doesn't sound like much, but armor is additive. Any point you put in armor is going to be really, really good. Like way, way better than you would think. So yeah, 200 armor is actually pretty good. 400 is great. Then over here, you're getting even more damage. Love damage. You're going to go up. You're going to get the Tricks of the Trade board. You're going to go left to Brawler first thing. Get all these notes. Very important, because this gives you damage to close enemies, damage reduction from close enemies. That's what you need. And these two give you even more damage reduction from close enemies. So that puts you at like 9% right there for free. Gonna go over for Trick of the Trade. That's gonna make your flurries do more damage when you're alternating punctures and flurries. Up here, doesn't really matter, but what we want to go over to this glyph. And here I've got Closer. Closer is great because it gives you more Cutthroat skill damage. Flurry is a Cutthroat skill, so more flurry damage, and 10% reduced damage while you have a melee weapon, which is always with this build. Gonna get focused for more damage to elites, and then at this point you're gonna branch out. There's 2 different ways you want to go, so up to you which you prioritize. I'd go this way first. Let's go over this way first. You're gonna go left over here. You're gonna get the exploit weakness board. You don't really care about it. It's honestly a decent skill, but I don't really care enough about it. But you want to get Hunter Killer. This is critical. 32% damage to elites. Bam. Lovely. And, a bit more here. Another 16%, 24%. So this is like extra 56% damage to elites. That's great. The moves we don't care about. Then you're going to want to go up to the final board. You've got Cheap Shot. This gives you increased damage for every crowd-controlled enemy. It goes well with our slow. It's just good in general. And here you're going to want to get, here you're going to want to get Safeguard. Safeguard reduces your damage from elites. Again, it's like this is like one of the only nodes you can actually get that will help keep you alive significantly on a rogue. So all this damage reduction is going to give you around 23% damage reduction from elites. You shouldn't have any trouble with dying. Then finally, north from here, we want to get, which one? This is the Cunning Stratagem board. This is a terrible, terrible aspect, or whatever it is. You don't want to get that. Don't even worry about it. But you do want to get a Finisher here and Dominant. These are going to give you a lot of core skill damage. I put some points in Lawless over here as well, because, like I said, you cannot go wrong with that armor. But that's up to you. Then up for what to do after that, there is Fundamentals up here for another 10% damage, but it doesn't seem worth it. I haven't figured out what to do. Keep an eye out for another video. Anyways, that about sums up the Paragon points. So your game plan is going to be pretty simple. Dash in, puncture, 1, 2, 3 times, up to you. Hit Flurry, bam, everything's going to be vulnerable and or dead. And then just hit poison, poison trap when they're up. Hit Shadow Step every once in a while. And that concludes our video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.